All right, welcome to Pass the Mic. It is Friday, June 21st, first week off for summer break 2024, episode 120. Mike Gervasi, how are you?
I'm great. Yourself?
I'm great. This is my first full day of nothing, I guess I'd say. We're recording on Wednesday, the 19th, to be clear.
Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth. Yes. I guess it's a lot of people are off today. They're
Yeah.
not just us teachers, but Monday, like we said, I think I mentioned last week, I did the oil change the car, and then I worked at the Metro Park. So really, I joked around first day off working there, and then yesterday Ella had a big vet appointment that everything came back fine, but that was it in the morning. So
Okay.
and you've been cutting grass.
I cut grass today. It was as hot as you might think. I worked or no, I did not work. My daughter and Evelyn worked the camp yesterday, and I am actually going to fill in for my daughter today, so I'll be keeping score. So it's a busy day for me.
So nobody should be
Um,
yelling about the score.
no, but I guess according to Max, there was one coach who was yelling about the officiating.
Oh, well, Nate did get yelled at when he did the clock one time. I forgot what he did. He wasn't paying attention or something, and he messed that up.
They'll let
So
you
you never
know.
know.
Yeah.
Yes, they will let you know, even if it's a summer league. Doesn't mean anything game. So
Oh, hey,
feedback.
before we
Oh,
get to
go
feedback
ahead.
real quick, I'm okay. So I just looked at myself here in the Zoom. I have a shirt on. I'm going to ask you this question. I'm not going to give the answer. If you get it, great. I don't know if I already asked you
Okay.
this. I've asked a bunch of people. Two people have gotten it so far. So I want to get the people to comment on the message board. I'm wearing a Minnesota State shirt. Now it's the Mavericks. That's not relevant. So we're going to forget the
Okay.
Mavericks. Minnesota State. Do you any idea, without me giving away too much, what Minnesota State was made famous for in our child,
Yes, I know already.
you already know. Did I already tell you or did you know?
No, I just know.
Okay.
Craig T. Nelson.
No, so why would you do that?
Why is that? You asked me if I knew. I'm telling
Yeah,
you what
you
I.
just say yes or no. I said I wanted the people to comment on the message
Oh, well,
board.
people still may not know what that means,
All right.
because
Well,
that's obviously more obscure than I think the name of the show.
okay. All right. Well,
What movie is he famous for?
he's been in quite a
His most
few.
famous movie.
I don't know.
I think his most famous movie is Poltergeist.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
fine.
it's a Steven Spielberg classic. I mean, I don't
Another
know what
piece
other
of good
movies.
news today. The coach of the Pistons was fired. Coach Monty Williams. You see what I'm
Yeah,
doing?
and yes. Okay, I spoiled it anyway. You say I spoiled it with Craig T. Nelson. I don't think I did. I think he's quite obscure. I
All
will
right.
say this about the coach of the Pistons. We are both famous for saying we have no problem with what pro athletes get and what they're paid and that sort of thing. But today I wake up and I see this news and I think about working, and we started the show by saying how we're working other jobs, and this and that. And this guy is going to walk away after 1 year of a 5-year deal with more money than we would ever see if we worked our lifetimes 10 times in our current careers.
$5+ million a win. It's what this is going to amount to for him. Good. I mean, whatever. I didn't want to say good for him because he didn't want to come, and his wife was going through cancer treatment, so the Pistons kept upping the offer. So shame on them, but man, you're right. It's even my brother just sent me a text about that. Just like, God, what are we doing here?
It's just an obscene amount of money when you
It
think
is.
about with what was done to earn it. However, I'll also say this: did you see the Boeing CEO getting grilled in the Senate hearings yesterday?
Yeah.
And I was actually surprised it was the Republican senator from Missouri was grilling him pretty hard about the last 8 years of labor contracts for the working people for Boeing, comparing his raise to theirs, and was basically blasting this guy, which is good to see. Again, any political party that's going to do that, any candidate, any politician, I agree with you. This guy should be getting grilled, and he should be saying things like this. These working people should be getting paid more money. I don't care what letter comes at the end of your name. So I want to thank Senator. I think it's Haltley. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Haltley Josh. Is it Josh Haltley? The guy that
I
the
think
famous. He had the fist up
with the
going
yeah.
into January
Yeah.
6th. So but
Yeah.
he was. I got to commend him for what he did yesterday.
Yeah.
All right, now we can get to feedback.
Yeah.
Who do you
Sorry.
got? We had a lot this week.
We had
All
a
right.
lot of feedback. So let me start by saying Chris Pate offered one. I'll give him the shout out here. He loves Naughty by Nature, in his mind, the most underrated rap group he could think of. Eminem frequently cites Tretch, the lead singer of Naughty by Nature, who I'm sure you knew that, as
Did
his
not know that.
as
No
one of
one
his
replied to my group text that I knew to Max's comment about earlier this morning. That was in a text we had going
Yeah, Chuck
with
D.
my Pirates hat.
Yeah, Pirates hat. Although he would wear a Phillies hat too in the video Fight the Power, maybe their most famous video, he had a Phillies hat on. So maybe he was just loyal to the state of Pennsylvania.
Maybe.
Um, Chris wanted me to mention the semi-autobiographical song "Slippin'" by DMX. It's a really emotional song. You know, Elizabeth, Chris's wife, has had some experience with that song on a personal level. She mentioned how it always gets to her. So a great song. So that's the first thing. We got a lot of likes on our post from the bar
Oh,
on Friday.
the picture. Yeah. I mean, maybe we don't have just a face for podcasts. People really like that picture.
Yeah, Rendog likes the recommendation of certain rap hip hop songs, but he does want me to rap family friendly still every once in a while.
Yes.
Sorry, Rendog, I don't think that's gonna happen,
Maybe just
but
the song recommendations. That's as good as it's going to get.
yeah. Antoine still argues MJ did get cut from varsity because that's what he tried out for, so he's sticking with that. Tony Saavedra, got two things from him, one in person, one on the message board. He loves PTI. In fact, he tapes it every day. I'm just kidding. He most likely DVRs it, but records it every day, and his family laughs at him for this. And he was actually doing it while typing his post. He also agrees with me that the Fab Five was overrated, although he's not a Michigan fan, so I'm not sure if I'm going to take that. And Kevin Stoltz, he comments a lot. I want to give him a shout out though for something else. On the famous Downriver and Friends,
I'm
made
familiar
famous
with
by
it.
you. Yeah, I did pay a little more attention this week. It's as comical as you might think. A parent asked, should she put her kids in Allen Park or Woodhaven? Kevin's response, Gibraltar.
I saw that.
That's pretty
He
darn cool, man.
he's a
That's
big we almost got to call him a recruiter. Every time I see someone ask, because people are always asking those questions, which to me, I don't think that's a bad question to ask on if you're looking to buy a house or something. That's a good place to put it because a realtor is going to tell you anything. Whereas, ask some people other than asking, when the fireworks shows are,
I
or
guess, Mike, I'm gonna push back on that a little bit because most of the people commenting are gonna offer anecdotal things that probably aren't worth
yeah,
very
yeah.
much.
But I mean, it's sort of like any sort of review system, right? Like when I go to look at something that's being reviewed, say like a hotel room, I understand that there's going to be,
Yeah,
it's not every review is going to be positive, and you just try to see like what's the majority of numbers say? Because you're right. Every time you read one of those, there's always negatives and positives to every one, which is probably a realistic thing because not everyone has the same experience. So,
sure.
so Gary Bailey did comment. He mentioned, congratulating our coworker who mentioned Kathy Huber, who wrote a very nice email to us all about retiring, and he's obviously enjoying retirement. So, I think he said 6 Saturdays and a Sunday or something along that is what retired life is like.
Yeah, the rock.
He also let me know, and I sort of did know this. Major League Baseball has this rule about calling up guys, right, on their first contract. And if you wait long enough, they don't get the service credit, so you get to hold on to them longer. Okay. Teams do this all the time, not just the cheapo
Yeah,
Pirates.
yeah,
Many major league teams do. They don't want to, even if they know this guy's going to be good, they know that the keeping them in your back pocket for so many days, and they know the exact day
yeah.
is worth another year of. If any team needs to hold on to guys before they come be free agents, as the Pirates. I totally understand. So but it's still shocking to me that this guy was drafted last year and it was this dominant that he could have been on the opening day roster. And that's a schemes there for the Pirates. Elizabeth Pate gave us feedback at the Burguy graduation party. Shout out to Joe Burguy, another great grad party we were at. Said she was having a rough week. And the drive-in was made great. Again, the 12:01 release time that we now do on Friday mornings, which for all our third shifters or early people leaving for work, that's a good thing. Tom Pack with another great photo collage. Did you see Tom Pack's his wife photo of him on the couch? He's enjoying
No.
summer off. Little picture of Tom. He claims his eyes were just closed for 1 second, but it looked like a little midday nap time being enjoyed.
So his claim is that for 1 second he closed his eyes and there was a shot taken.
Yes, yes, yes. I think Uncle Joe uses that line a couple times. I'm not
And
sure.
we had a staff member that used that line once too.
I've used it in my own house, but it looked to me that it was pure napping mode. But who am I to, I don't have the forensics on the phone to do that. So, but he did do another great slideshow for us last week, like he always does. Um, you got anything else?
No, that's all the feedback.
All right. So you went last week with you tied it into the NBA Finals, I believe, right?
Mhm.
Well, no, yeah, because Mike Wilburn and
Mike
the
Wilbon, yeah.
I'm going to tie this into the NHL finals. This may anger some of the Pass the Mitch crowd or may give them ammo. I'm going to be selecting Jack Michaels. We already have Al Michaels. Lesser known is Jack Michaels, born in 1974 in Meadville, Pennsylvania. He is the play by play voice of the Edmonton Oilers, who are back.
Three to
I don't
two.
know. They're look out, and they are the more talented team, I think. So we were burying, I think, Edmonton last week, and look
That
what's
was
happened.
I actually tuned in last night. It was a fun game to watch. So yeah, good for
I mean, 3-2 is by no means over,
right.
and they can score. That team can. Oh man, can they score goals? So if they can get on the board, they have a very good chance. Boy, Canada will go crazy. So
First one,
that
when was the last Canadian team to win? It's been a while. I mean, it
does it
can't
go
be
all the way?
Vancouver, right? Vancouver, I don't think. I'm sure there was a Canadian team since then.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Our hockey elite will have to let us know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jack Michaels, he is the play-by-play of the Edmonton Oilers. So he's working a little bit longer now, obviously, because he is still going there. Max, of course, reached out to us too. We can't let the episode go. Max always reaches out right away. He did. He said the JFK Jr. joke was too soon, but still funny.
Yeah. Yeah. It's certainly too soon.
I don't think it's too soon. I think we've moved quite a way. So, but no offense, no offense to
So
the.
he also commented if the librarian can't get his stuff done, what chance do the rest of us have?
That's true.
Um, so yeah, I thought, oh, and another funny one, man. He was on fire. You think Jordan's parents went to the AD or the school board about him playing JV?
That's the. How could we miss that? That's a good one. That's going to bring us. It sort of ties into something we're going to talk about now for our education topic this week. We wrapped up and had graduation a few weeks ago. I saw a lot of pictures, graduation at the high school, college graduations, way earlier. So college graduation, but a lot of those kindergarten graduations, right? Eighth grade graduation. And Max texted us and said that they were talking about it on 97 won the ticket. And we're gonna give credit where credit's due. We're gonna steal a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about our thoughts. Are there too many of these academia related
Yes.
celebrations going on right now compared to are you done? Is that
I mean,
overrated, underrated? Uh, I just want to know what your thoughts are. What did you experience growing up? Okay, what were your high points? And then what do you think this does, to I guess our students in general? So what do you got? We already know yes. So what did you have growing up in your area?
so all I remember it was sixth grade. I don't even know if they called it graduation because they certainly didn't call each individual up.
No.
We had a sixth grade finale dance the last day, and that was pretty cool. But one of the listeners is Travis. His sister was my girlfriend, and so that I do remember that part of it. And she was on the other end of the dance floor. I was on this end of the dance floor, and we were kind of all shy and stuff like that. That's it, though, man. There was nothing. I'm sure you'll talk about this. You even have strong feelings about high school graduation. I'm fine with that one in a sense that is, I it's a rite of passage, but I think it's one of those rite of passage into adulthood. I saw a bumper sticker recently, and if any of our listeners have this is no shot on anybody, but a kindergarten graduate, eighth grade graduation, eighth grade graduate, fifth grade graduation. There's this big to do as all the students are ushered out, and I am. And then as a parent, you feel like you have to be a part of it because all these other parents are there and you don't want your
Damn.
kids to be left out.
Walkouts. There's a walkout for the elementary now.
Yeah, but man, where does this end? Are we just should we just do it every year? Should we do third grade graduation?
I feel as if we're turning into boomers, even though we're purely Generation
We
X.
do
And
sound
that's
like
part of it too. Generation X, we didn't get any of this stuff, any of
nothing.
it.
No.
Nothing. High school graduation was it, and it was a much lesser production than is now. Okay, back when we graduated high school, there weren't like vendors there selling shirts and
No,
flowers
I
and
even think our eighth grade graduation that we do, and again, this is not a knock at anybody because it's just a
no,
culture.
it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
It's
So you got to
everywhere.
do it. You have to do it, or else
But the eighth grade graduation is
you'll be
bigger
getting
than
those
what's
negative
not
posts on
close.
Downriver and Friends.
Yeah,
Oh,
right,
they don't
right.
do the
They don't even do the eighth grade graduation. They don't
yes.
even clap out the kindergartens, right? So, but again, like we didn't have our eighth grade graduation is a much bigger production than our high school graduations were. I mean, so
Okay, so yeah, so the new eighth. Oh yeah, like calling every name, and
every name.
unfortunately, Nate's was wiped out by COVID. Not that upset about it. Not that
I
heartbroken.
hope he's
Uh,
okay.
I hope. um, again, high school. Did you have a high school grad party? Let me ask that.
I did not. I did not.
Okay, so you didn't. So I did, and my two sisters did. So that was still there. I didn't do anything college-wise, like a graduation party for college.
Right.
Yes, I made my thoughts clear, not to sound like an education snob at all. Graduating high school is an expectation, and in the text that we had this morning, just as the sun is going to rise in the east tomorrow, my two kids were expected to graduate high school. And again, that's not meaning to sound like a snob or anything like that. To me, it's funny though, because like I didn't have the party should have really been for college. To me, earning my undergrad was the hardest thing I ever did, as far as education wise, even harder than my two master degrees. Okay,
Yeah.
because uh, and I think barring people going to medical school or something, most undergraduate degrees are sometimes more challenging than masters, because I think a lot of times with masters, people know that they're working and this sort of thing, and the amount of work is just less expected. So I get it why there's a high school celebration. I get that. But I just feel like all of these over celebrations sort of lower the value of the true ones, I guess, like the high school graduation, like
And I
and I don't,
wonder
but I get,
psychologically, does this, and I remember reading something about this, and sometimes it can lead to good things because it does give, a person the fearlessness of taking chances in life. But does it give the idea that you've accomplished something, when man, I don't want to finish this sentence. That's how sensitive this could be. But does it give you a sense of accomplishment when really you've done something pretty minor? But again, the flip side of that is we have a lot more people in our country who are willing to take risks, entrepreneurially, and therefore maybe it's not the worst thing in the world that they have this belief because it gives them the confidence to do things that they otherwise wouldn't do. So
I still too that a high school diploma, while valuable, is you need something beyond it, whether it be uh, a trade and training, going into the military and receiving some knowledge and information there, a police academy, a fire academy, something, because really getting jobs that are at a high school diploma only level, unless you're going to become an entrepreneur on your own and open up your own business, which is tough in general. I don't know how it pays the bills currently.
right, right.
It's just, it's just. So yeah, so I think we pretty much agreed with. I don't know. I'd be curious to see what like millennial parents feel, like the parents of like, because we have friends that have. Well, obviously you have a middle school student now, and but I wonder what like the parents of the ones that that this sort of got ushered in under, which were a little younger than us, I think, like because this has been going on for a little bit.
Again,
So I don't know. I just
that's a good
what
question.
would people be upset? Would they be posting on Downriver and Friends? I cannot believe Gibraltar got rid of the eighth grade. Which, by the way, Amy Halderman does a great job. The staff down there does a great
Yeah,
job. It's a ton
right,
of work. The
right.
counselors. I mean, it's that dance she puts on at that end of the year thing. But pomp and circumstance.
This will be interesting. This will be interesting, the feedback we get. Although I think most of the people are Gen Xers that listen to us, and therefore they're probably going to agree. But
Yeah, our generation is famous for being, toughen up. We didn't get anything. Like,
and we're also such we're such a middle of the road generation in a sense that we remember what life was like before this tech boom. At the same time, we're tech savvy enough to navigate that part of things too. So we're sort of in the middle in that regard as well. We're we're a pretty bad generation, man. We bad isn't
Well,
good.
the other thing is, I think we don't care a lot. Like a lot of, and maybe this will be a good thing about our generation as we get old, because remember the boomers that sort of started this whole Karen thing, right? Like they were
Yeah,
always into other people's business. I
right.
saw somebody post, we'll go Downriver and Friends. Somebody was complaining on Downriver and Friends about these stores that have the pickup. You know, if you order online and you pull in there and you can pick up items or have it brought out to your car. All these stores have these now.
Yeah,
This person was actually taking the time to write a paragraph complaining about people that park in these spots. Um, and shouldn't they be enforced properly, this and that. And I saw one person write, well, maybe the person was going in to pick up their order, which, like, for me, for like Lowe's, I just did Lowe's the other day, and I walked in to get it. I didn't do the thing where it made, because it was like one thing. I didn't want to, I felt like an idiot if this guy's
yeah,
going to come out with like, so I'm like, I'll park and go in. I didn't even use the pickup spot. I always tend to park far out just because I want to walk extra. I do it for myself anyway. But I could have pulled into that pickup spot, right, and walked in if I wanted to. So that's what this person said. Maybe they're inside picking up their stuff. And then like another person's like, maybe you should call the police. I'm sure Woodhaven police or all these places want to deal with and have the police come out and deal with people parking and pay. So maybe our generation will be the people that stop doing this stuff.
yeah.
Like somebody said, basically, stop, Karen. It's let it go. All right, overrated, underrated, very hot this week, as we've talked about. So first big heat wave of 2024. What is your overrated for heat waves, heat alerts? My phone's been blown up all week.
Yeah, so man, this is tough because it's some information you gave me before the show, but I'm gonna speak just from my perspective as a 40-something-year-old man. I really I don't I was out cutting grass today. It was hot, but you know what? I like this. Give me this any day of the week over the winter. And so just to me, the overrated is just a constant complaining. It's hot enough out there, and every other iteration thereof that just complaining about the weather. Again, it was hot today. Only I was sweating and everything else, but man, I am by February, by mid to late February, I am miserable with the cold. I feel like it just beats me down, and I'll take this any day of the week. So my overrated is just the constant complaining about the heat. Again, I'll take this any day over the cold.
That's gonna be interesting when it comes to my hot mic. My overrated was sort of the preview, the weather last week. I looked at my phone last week and it was saying like 95, 98, like all of a sudden all through this week. And I think it is warm. Okay. It is very warm. I'm not saying that, but it looked like it maybe surprise, shocker, the local weather people overrated this heat wave. Okay. Because today it's looking like 89, 89, all like high 80s. It's really high 80s. And even not
Yeah,
saying that it's not hot. People that are working outside, I totally get it, but it looks like 190. If you would remember last week when we were at Joe's for our end of the year thing, we were looking at the weather for this week. We were talking about the gym and stuff.
yeah,
Remember, it was like 95, 98, 98 all through the week. And in general, the heat wave this week, at least, was overrated last week by our local weather people. Still hot. I get it. My air conditioner is running like crazy. I'm failing miserably at the DT Insight app, which Tom Pack put in the photo slideshow, by the way. Well done. But I think in general, this was, and I think part of it is because and I heard people say this, it's early and it's prolonged. It's like, normally we get like, you get like a 92, 93
yeah.
day. I think that's the main issue with this. It's been warm, man. I get it. But I think sometimes the weather people get a little overly excited with how big this dome was going to be. And thankfully it's not 98,
Right,
because,
right.
crazy what would you be doing? All right. What do you got as underrated?
So my underrated is the neat ways people in different parts of the country find ways to cool off. Parts of New York, the famous scenes of using the fire hydrants, getting the fire hydrants going, just to the random person in the suburbs that turns on the sprinkler. I always find it to be so cool the way people, no pun intended here, the way people find ways to cool down. So my underrated is that. I think some of those ways are so neat looking.
Yeah, that's because you got to find the ways. And, for me, underrated is the combination of two things. One, um, doing nothing. Like people will give you a green light over these days
Yeah,
of letting your grass grow a little longer because, hey, it's hot. We don't want anyone to, be, so, whereas in the winter you're expected to shovel that driveway, right? You're
right.
expected to, you can't say, oh, it's cold, I'm not going to clear the driveway. But in the heat, they even say in the news, don't go out and work, don't fill up your gas tank, this sort of thing, if you can't go out there and do it. And the one thing I do back DTE on, because what do they always say, like running your appliances, right, drains the electrical system and makes your house warmer because them running. So let's avoid doing laundry. Let's avoid cooking at home. Uh, that was another downer. I saw a downer in front post. A guy wrote, "If you think it's hot now, it's really hot in our kitchens. Consider cooking at home and not eating out." And like someone's comment was, "I'm sure your owner would really love to see this
Yeah,
post on
right.
the Downriver and Friends." I mean, so I'm going to stick to that. I don't want to do any cooking in general most days anyway, but I'm going to try to keep the house cooler by not uh, firing up the stove at all. So those two things are definitely underrated. And of course, if it's like what we always say, what are two things that you want friends to own? A pool and a boat, right? Those are the two things you would need a friend to own. So find
Yep.
those friends. My mom's pool is open, so maybe I'll be heading over there. Don't have a friend with a boat. I got to find that.
Yeah. Kelly Warren.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But to me, like a pool is even better because, like, I don't know, are you gonna go out in the water in the Detroit River, Lake Erie? So people do. People jet ski and stuff. I mean, people do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
They jump the bridge and stuff. I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. All right, hot mic take. What do you have for us this week? No pun intended.
All right. So Willie Mays passed away yesterday. So that's like the third legend in the last month or so, right? With Bill Walton, Jerry West, and now Willie Mays. And it got me thinking, one if you had to pick one athlete that you would have liked to have seen where you were old enough, or um, maybe you caught the tail end of his career, or just like if you could drop yourself and just watch one athlete where you can understand this person's greatness. Because there's some discussion today, is Willie Mays the best baseball player of all time? It's a fair debate. So what athlete would you like to have seen? And again, like a few come to my mind, basketball related. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is one of them. He retired when I was 10 years old. Um, but so I wasn't really old enough to appreciate him. But you look at all his accolades, and I don't think, when people all the time talk about the greatest being LeBron or Michael, and statistically anyway, and with a lot of like personal accolades, he should be in that conversation, and yet he seems to be at best labeled third, and probably lower than that because of the fact that I think sometimes there's an anti big man bias with some of these things. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar would be one. Dr. J retired in 1987. I would love to have seen him and understood his greatness. By the time he was done, I just remember him just being a shell of himself. So what is one athlete, if you could see again or see period, would you want to see? You can only limit it to one. Who would it be?
Well, you listed many.
I
You listed
did,
a
I did.
couple.
Well,
So
I
who's
guess
your
I'll give
one?
my
So who's your
answer.
one?
My
Oh,
one
you're
is
gonna say
Kareem.
give it next week?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar will be my answer.
All right. My one is Roberto Clemente.
Roberto. Okay.
Probably, even though there's a lot of great Steelers that my dad got to see in his in the '70s play, but because the Pirates just have been so disappointing, and just to hear what he used to do and watch him make that throw from the outfield in, and his career was cut short tragically. For me, I think it'd be Roberto Clemente.
Okay.
That would be my one. Surprisingly, a baseball guy.
I was just gonna say, I'm surprised you went baseball. And it took me a minute. I thought about some other guys. I remember Joe Montana, but his greatness was probably before I was, he had one big season after he had that horrible injury, with the Chiefs in like 93 or 94. I think it was 93 season. I was a little bit, or maybe 94. I was a little bit older at that point, but I really was too young to appreciate his greatness. But I'm going to stick with Kareem just because, like I said, I don't know, when you just look at his personal records and all that stuff, why he isn't mentioned before, except that he was a big man. So I'm going to stick with him.
Well, unfortunately, you got to see him at the very tail end. He stuck a dagger in your heart.
He did, but the official really stuck the dagger. And man, I just was thinking about people complaining about refs, but we got robbed, man. That was a bad
There was a
call.
big robbery in baseball yesterday too. I don't know why it popped up. The Rockies got robbed. The Dodgers were playing the Rockies, and they struck a guy out on a called third, and the third base ump did not say he went all the way around. The next hit, the guy hit a 3-run homer, and the
Yeah,
Rockies were just losing their mind.
now was it as big of a game as Game 6 in the NBA Finals?
No, it was it was not. It was not. But for some reason it's popped up on my social media a lot today. That incident. Not that I'm a Dodgers fan at all, but it's just funny of any team that does not need a break at all.
Yeah,
It's the Dodgers. So my hot mic goes back to what you were talking about earlier, where you said you would rather have this heat over the cold. I want to put this in the term of ranges though, because to me, I'm fine with anything that's like 20 or above. Something that's not like, when we get those what do they call them? Polar
Polar
vortexes, where it's
vortex.
just like absolutely like you can't even be outside. It's just miserable. But to me, because like, and I try to walk year round, if the wind's not going crazy, so I'm talking like in the winter, we're obviously talking wind chill, right? So if it's 20 or above, whether it's a wind chill combination or anything, I can be outside and not be totally miserable for a period of like 30, 40 minutes, even walking the dog or something. So when you said this, I'm not going to make it a black or white issue with the weather. Obviously, those days of the polar vortex, or if it's like a storm that you can't even go outside, I'd rather have this. Okay. But I think on days where it's just a, you know, 28 degrees, 32-degree day, or 98 and hot and humid, I'm going to take the 28-degree day.
Okay.
I'm going to be the opposite of you. And I'd just be curious to see what other people think. To me, it gets like, this is not even enjoyable to be outside to me. Okay. I posted a couple memes I posted a meme of, on Instagram of Newman, the episode of Seinfeld where Newman's under the hot lamp
Yeah.
and he's
Sweating.
sweating like crazy.
Yeah.
And I think the meme was like, "Hey, do you want to go eat somewhere outside today?" And it was like Newman's face. Like that doesn't even seem enjoyable to me at all. Like I thank goodness for central air. Like we laugh and we ridicule DT sometimes, but man, if power were to go out right now, man, I would be highly miserable. And so again, I guess you're sort of playing both ends of it here, but under 20, I'm going to take this weather. Over 20, I'll take the winter weather.
Okay.
So I'd be curious to see how other people think and what other people feel, but that's it. So good first week off so far. Any big plans the remainder of the week?
No, I'm just, like I said, I'm working today, the basketball camp a little bit, running a scoreboard. Probably cut grass one more time. Got a couple grad parties this weekend. So how about you?
I work at the golf course, which would be yesterday if we're going by when this comes out. I'm working with Kathy Huber's husband, so I'll see how retirements. I mean, that's the thing about retiring from education. You really won't feel it till September, right?
Yeah, right.
Because I mean, that's what we've talked to people about it before, and we're not going to give too much away, but they say it doesn't really start feeling weird till like that late August, where things have changed, and you'll get your paycheck, right? Like you'll get paid June, July, and August
Yeah, so it's
because
just like you're right.
the way our system works is everything we're earning now has already been earned throughout the school year. So you're just earning your money. You're getting paid with the money you've already earned. So, but no, that's it. Just gonna enjoy some grad parties. I'm going to pick up Chloe. She's coming home for this weekend for one of the parties, and yeah, just enjoying, I guess, NHL finals. Are you going to watch now that it's 3-2?
I'll probably turn it on. I hope they do. They're not like the NBA and they do every other day. The NBA has this great idea of giving 2 days off now in between.
Well, they had to draw that out because it was so bad. It only lasted 5 games.
Yeah, what a disappointment. Hey, and I got the crack staff on this, and as it turns out, the last Canadian champion was in fact 1994 Vancouver Canucks.
Vancouver Canucks. Holy cow, that is a
Crazy.
long time ago. Holy cow. So maybe Edmund can do it. They're
Wait a
down
minute, I stand
3-2, but
corrected here.
wait a minute. Now we are changing this.
94 was the Rangers, I'm sorry.
Oh,
They beat the
they beat
Canucks.
Vancouver.
There was a riot. So the last, I apologize. The last NHL champion from Canada was the Montreal Canadiens, 93. Do you want to know
Was that,
go ahead.
who's the goalie?
I'm sure the goalie would have been Patrick Waugh, but the coach is what's really interesting to me. Jacques Demers.
Oh, a lot of Detroit connections there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I Vancouver Canucks. I don't know why I thought they won it that year. That was the legendary
Nope.
Mark Messier guarantee. And
Yep.
the Rangers did win it. The New York Knicks the same year went to Game 7 of the finals. O.J. Simpson was fleeing from the police on June
I think
17th.
ESPN did a special on those riots too, like a little.
They did a 30
I
for
thought I
30. I
saw that.
didn't watch it, but they also did
Okay.
the June 17th one we just thought some years back.
Yes, on the whole thing, but they did one just on the Vancouver riots themselves.
Yeah.
So, all right, there we go. I'm glad we no need to correct us on that. Hockey Elite, we got it. We got
Yeah.
it. So, all right, everybody, have a great week, and we will see you next week.